Well, hello, everybody. Pastor Steve here. I'm really glad you've joined me for today's devotion. We are in the second chapter of the book of Exodus. And wow, these 25 verses cover a lot of experience in the life of Moses. In this chapter, Moses is born. We learn about his childhood and being raised by the daughter of Pharaoh. We learn about his early adulthood, and he knows his identity as a Hebrew, even though he's raised in royalty. He kills a man. He has to flee Egypt and ends up in Midian. While he's there, he has a family, a wife, and two sons. That's a lot of someone's life story that is summarized in this one chapter in these 25 verses. I'm going to point out a few things to you, just a few, maybe teaching notes before I share with you my devotion for today. First of all, in verses 2 and 3, this is the woman, Moses' mother, conceived and bore a son, and when she saw that he was beautiful, she hid him for 3 months, and when she could hide him no longer, she got him a wicker basket and covered it over with tire and pitch so it would be waterproof. And then she put the child into it and set it among the reeds by the bank of the Nile River. Because remember, at the end of chapter 1, the Pharaoh had ordered that every male boy born to the Hebrew people be thrown into the Nile River. You could say, in a sense, that Moses' mother obeyed his command. She just happened to put him in a basket that would float, trusting God to take care of him. And of course, that's what happened. So in a sense, she did not break the law. And I wonder if maybe that wasn't part of what God used when people said, well, why is this baby Moses still alive? In addition to the fact that, the Pharaoh's daughter was now claiming him, but in those early days, he was being raised by his mother on behalf of Pharaoh's daughter. So I could, some Egyptian official, what? Oh, God miraculously delivered this child. So the way she did it, in a sense, you could say obeyed the law, but trusted God and worked out really, really well. Verse 10, the child, this is Moses, he grew, and she, this is his mother, brought him to Pharaoh's daughter, and he became her son, and she named him Moses, she said, because I drew him out of the water. So he's raised by Pharaoh's daughter in royalty, if you will. And the book of Acts in chapter 7, verses 21 and 22 tell us that Moses got the best of the Egyptian education. God was preparing him for what was to come. Verses 15 and 16, after he killed the Egyptian who had been beating the Hebrew, and he had to flee, verse 15, when Pharaoh heard of this matter, he tried to kill Moses. But Moses fled. He escaped. He fled from the presence of Pharaoh and settled in the land of Midian, and he sat down by a well. Now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters, and they came to draw water and filled the troughs to water their father's flock. Midian, that's an area. If you look at the Middle East and you have the Red Sea, and to the east of the Red Sea, or to the west rather, to the west of the Red Sea is Egypt. Now, I know as you watch this video, everything is backwards, because over here to my left, I got a twist, but I can't do that. If you don't know, on video and TV, things get reversed. Anyway, the Red Sea, over here to the east, if you're looking at it on a map, to the left of the Red Sea is Egypt. And the top of the Red Sea has 2 fingers. And the one on the left is the Gulf of Suez. The one on the right, or on the east, is the Gulf of Aqaba. And Midian is to the east, if you're looking at the map, to the right of Aqaba. The land in between those 2 fingers of the Red Sea is the Sinai Peninsula. But over here is Midian. And the Midianites were descendants of Abraham. Remember, after Abraham's wife Sarah died, he married another woman named Keturah and had several children by her, one of whom was Midian. You read about this in Genesis. Let's see if I've got it written down here in my notes. I didn't write down where it is, but it's Well, it's back in Genesis. Anyway, Genesis 25. Genesis 25. He marries Keturah. She has this son. He becomes the father of the Midianites. And that's where Moses goes. And so here these daughters are daughters of the priest of Midian. Do not assume that the priest of Midian was a priest to some pagan secular religion, because it was in this area that, God appeared to Moses in the burning bush on the mountain where these people lived. The likelihood is he was a priest to the God of his ancestor Abraham, the God of Isaac and Jacob, same God that the people of Moses worshiped. That's the likelihood as the priest of Midian. Now, one last note before my devotion real quickly is in verse 18, the father of these girls, these daughters, these women, who's the priest of Midian, in verse 18, when they came to Ruel, their father. Other places in the Old Testament, he's also referred to as Jethro. Not unusual for people to have more than one name in ancient cultures, and we even know some people today who are sometimes some people know them by their first name, other people know them by their second name, their middle name, on and on. It's not that unusual, etc. And so I just want to point that out to you. Now, devotionally, what I want to talk about is verse 22. Verse 22. Moses' wife, Zipporah, she gives birth to a son. So this is his first child. And he named him Gershom. Gershom. For he said, I have been a sojourner in a foreign land. And I got to thinking about that. Moses, his home was Egypt. Born in Egypt, raised in Egypt, then as a young man had to flee Egypt. And he was a sojourner, a wanderer, a stranger, not a citizen of Midian. He was a citizen of Egypt. He's described here as an Egyptian in this chapter. Before he had to flee for his life, Egypt was his home. He never lived anywhere else. Now he's living in a foreign place. He's a sojourner. And as I thought about that, I got the idea that came to me is that sometimes, not always, but sometimes, for God to accomplish his eternal purpose through us. I mean, you and I, we each have a place in God's eternal plan. God is doing his work, and we have the privilege of being part of it. For some of us, to fulfill the call of God in our life, we have to leave behind what we've known. We have to leave behind comfort zone. We have to leave behind what's familiar, maybe even what we enjoy. Moses had to leave Egypt to go to Midian. That's where he met God, and God equipped him to lead the Hebrew people because he became a shepherd in that wilderness, desert area, mountainous area, the very area they would have to travel through on their way back to the promised land. So Moses had to leave Egypt to learn new skills, so God could prepare him for the great work God had for him to do. Think about Abraham. Abraham had to leave the comfort zone of all he'd ever known, Ur of the Chaldeans, make his way to a place he'd never seen before. What we know today is the promised land, Canaan, Israel, become the father of the Jewish people. Now, does God always call us to leave a place? No. I had to leave Kentucky. But I'll tell you what God does, and I think this is true for every single one of us. There are things God does call us to leave behind. That if we are going to fulfill God's purpose in our life, God's call in our life, and accomplish what he's wanting us to accomplish in his kingdom that is part of this big eternal plan God has, each and every one of us have to be willing to leave some things behind. I don't know what it is for you, but I'm telling you, everybody who fulfills God's will has to leave some things behind. And the question is, are you willing? God calls you to give something up. God calls you to sacrifice something. God calls you to leave something behind. You see, you can't go to that new place if you stay where you are. You cannot go to that new place, that new destination God has for you in life, that new thing God wants you to accomplish in life if you're just going to stay with what you've always known and always done. Sometimes God says you got to get out of your comfort zone because my plan is bigger than just you and your comfort zone. Are you willing to leave something behind that's comfortable and familiar if God asks you to do so, to accomplish His greater purpose? Because in the end, despite what you hear on with TV preachers and what is a big part of our American culture, listen to me. In the end, being a disciple of Jesus is not primarily about us being comfortable or happy. It's about us being instruments in the hand of God to change the world, to change the destiny of others, to let God use us to change people's lives. Are you willing to get out of your comfort zone so that God can do in your life what He has planned to do for the sake of His kingdom and the sake of other people? It's a question we all need to wrestle with, and answer. Hey, God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow as we wrap up this week, and we will be looking at Proverbs chapter 12. God bless you. Have a great day, everybody.